Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast with Ani and Brian. Join us as we explore the art and science of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools to strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional. Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you'll understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence. If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hey there, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm so excited to be joined in the faculty lounge with Shannon and with Brian. Hey there, Brian. It's good to see you. I see you every time.
We're in the faculty lounge. And Shannon is here in person with us. She's the very first in-person guest, in-studio guest ever on the podcast.
In the actual faculty lounge with actual faculty.
Yeah, amazing. Oh gosh, it's like a dream coming true.
Thanks for joining us, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
Shannon is actually actual faculty at the Somatic Coaching Academy. She's on the cross-mapping team teaching the Somatic Transformation Fundamentals program.
Mm-hmm.
And Shannon, how long have you been teaching with us? I'm trying to remember. It's been a few years now.
It's been a couple years, 2, maybe 3.
It's been 3, actually. Yeah, it's been 3 years. I keep track of
I'm
things.
sure you do.
Yeah, we started, so Shannon, you started your kind of journey assisting with cross-mapping 3 years ago. And so I am like just so super pleased. Now you're a lead instructor for the cross-mapping program through all the iterations of the program. And you have been so invaluable in helping us develop the program and put it together and test out how to do the competencies and how to map stuff out. And you've just been my
instrumental,
like so a key piece of putting these programs together. And I'm so happy, so pleased, so grateful, so honored, and so excited that you're here and seeing all the changes that you've gone through since you started working with us. And we've known each other for a pretty, I'd say a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah.
But the transformation you've made over the amount of time that we've known you is really astounding.
Yeah.
Really astounding.
Personally, professionally.
Yeah, lots of changes.
Lots of changes. So let's talk about some of them. Shannon is a graduate of the Somatic Coaching program. So you actually went through a lot of changes while you were in that program. I want to talk a little bit about what was happening before you came on program, because you were a PT in the system.
Yes.
Full time? How long had you been?
Full time. I was a physical therapist in the system for about 20 plus years, actually, by the time I actually left.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a career. That's a lifetime.
A lifetime. Yeah. And it does feel like a whole other lifetime when I look back at it.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
In what ways?
I'm kind of like, so many changes. And so it just feels like a different time, a different person, almost like a different era. So I do feel like I'm in this different era of just my life. And
That's so cool.
yeah.
I think I relate to that too. I think it feels like a different lifetime and a different era from when I was in the system.
Yeah. It could be a little bit where, the timing of your change and shift was like, COVID was like during, like
It was right
then, right?
there.
So
Yeah.
I think in sometimes that the whole COVID era kind of like a split in our past life, recent life kind of thing. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Like when I was in the system, it feels like a total like past life. Like I don't really have, when I think about it, it's kind of cloudy and vague sometimes. It doesn't really feel like it was real, like it was a dream.
Yeah.
And I can imagine for you, like just the whole pre-post COVID kind of era maybe just adds to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
So why did you want to leave?
I was, for a long time, really unhappy with working in the system. And I just really didn't pay attention to it. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. It was my first job right out of PT school.
Was it really?
It was my first job.
Was it really?
Yeah.
You had you had one kind of place you worked from PT for almost 20 years.
And I really wore this badge of honor. Like,
Yeah.
I am loyal.
Well, they do that in the system too, right? Like they're like
Yeah.
20-year employee, 50-year employee.
Yes, and
Like,
you got like a little tag
Yeah.
and, a little pin. And so, yeah, I really was just like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Huh.
And I really didn't allow myself to listen to the feelings I was having that kept coming back. And now in reflection, I can say, yeah, that was this inner guide, this inner whatever you want to call it, saying, hey, knock, knock. You're not really where you're supposed to be.
So was that really what was going on for you? It wasn't like there was some major, horrible, awful problem you were trying to run from. There was like a knocking on your soul's door kind of thing that was.
Yeah. And it was there for probably a good, it's embarrassing to say, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just kept, nope.
Feel yeah.
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 Well, what in hindsight, now that you could see it from hindsight, what did that sound like or look like or feel like, that knocking, that knowing?
I would just be at work and I would look around and be like, I feel like I don't belong here. And then it just kind of spiraled into my daily activities, just not feeling fulfilled. I didn't want to go to work anymore. I found myself wanting to work part-time and just having all kinds of excuses for that. So basically that, just not really feeling happy about where I was.
Did that bleed into home or friends or family life at all?
I would say the complaining, which in hindsight, I was calling it venting.
Oh, interesting.
But when I look at it, I was like, that wasn't me. I was just complaining, and that snowballed too. So I remember actually that was one of my turning points.
Was it?
Was actually looking at myself or seeing myself complaining.
Oh, really?
And my kids were there. I'm making dinner and I'm, venting with my husband, and that became a daily thing every day. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to do that, especially in front of my kids.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously this is affecting me a lot.
Was that were you on program when that started to happen? Or was that before?
Oh gosh, that is a good question. Because it all
Do you remember?
feels,
Because you had this like ability to watch outside of yourself.
I think it was more after.
So I'm curious, what was it that got you over the hump? Because this loyal had been there for 20 years. So like, was there some kind of precipitating event, or did it come from within that you were finally able to like charge enough or like charge your system enough?
Right.
Like, what?
Gosh, for me, I think it was a couple of things. It was seeing myself complaining, and going through program, actually realizing what I was feeling and that these things were real. I wasn't just making it up. So it was a bunch of little things that just started to add up. And there was having some support during that too kind of helped to charge me, because I needed to talk. I wasn't voicing my truth at all. I was keeping it inside. And the more I talked about it, it kind of made it more real for me. And when you say charge, like that's such a great explanation, because it really was this like charging of like, this is what I want to do. And then self-doubt would kind of pull me back. And so it was a lot of push and pull and being on the fence for a really long time. And there was a lot of resistance. I mean, I was so bound. And that was really hard to get over. It was really scary.
The resistance part?
The resistance.
What did that look like, sound like, feel like? Do you remember?
Well, I remember just kind of starting to realize what I wanted, and then feeling it in my body. And it was so strong, and it was really hard to overcome. So that was the kind of push and pull for a while, and the self-doubt, I think, pushing me back. And then, I did get some coaching, and that support helped with, again, voicing it and just kind of like having someone to kind of lean on a little bit too. That support really, really helped. So I was watching myself that one day. And so I think the last pivotal point where I was like, okay, I need to do this. Like, you need to jump, was I was treating somebody at work and they were laughing and I got pissed off.
Oh, wow.
I got so mad. And I'm like, in hindsight, so here I am like talking and telling them how my day was. I'm like, yeah, and this person was laughing and I'm complaining about the laughing. And then I saw it.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, Shannon, like
Yeah.
you need to do something because, and I remember saying this to myself, I'm going to get sick because I was so,
Mhm,
just
mhm,
not happy.
mhm.
So yeah.
Wow.
I have a very clear memory of you, Shannon, and I might be jumping ahead just a little bit.
Go ahead.
But at the retreat, at the SBMC retreat, that cohort retreat, and we do at the end of every level 2, was, we do our core wound discovery process. And then at the last day, we kind of talk about what we're going to do with that information material. And I remember you kind of having this very clear awakening and kind of putting your flag in the ground. Maybe it wasn't like really too deep in the ground, but it was like I saw the first dawn, because you're still working full time up to that amount, up to then. But there was a very clear dawning in you at that moment that you were going to do this, that you were going to start your own practice. And it was like, it was in that moment I saw that light up for you. And I have a very clear, I don't know if you remember that, but I have a very clear memory of that was the moment that you really made that decision with more of your being than probably just that longing part or that complaining part. I love that story. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
But like after that process that we take everybody through, you like were really like, you're going to do this now. And something just enough had just fallen away for you to really be able to commit to that. And I remember it's that little spark. And now I see the spark in your eyes like all the time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there before.
Yeah,
you know?
it's actually the eye color and the spark behind your eyes is
The shininess in your
Yeah.
eyes. I mean, I'm lucky enough that when we teach together a lot on the cross mapping program, on the somatic transformation fundamentals program, that I get to see that all the time now. But that wasn't there when you started on program for your own cohort, and it's there now, and it's so amazing to see. But that was the moment I remember that dawning for you.
Yeah.
Well, did you have like the biggest fear, because now you have your own practice? So was there some kind of like, well, I couldn't possibly because of, was there any of that stuff that was going on for you before you jumped?
Yeah. I mean, I just thought, like, who's going to come see me? So really it was financial.
Mhm.
I didn't think I'd be able to get the clients. I didn't think the area could help support what I wanted to do.
Yeah, because we live in a relatively small area.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something different too, not mainstream. So I really didn't believe that I could be met in that. And lo and behold, it wasn't true.
How wrong you were. Yeah, exactly. Right. All those things you were telling yourself were just the illusion that was stopping you from moving forward. And that's that subconscious haze, right? Or that subconscious perception you had at that point in time was keeping you stuck. And it was all fantasy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was all
made
fantasy.
up.
All made up.
So tell us a little bit about your practice now. Like, do you have enough clients?
I do. I mean, I'm booking out into August, which was like my goal, to just have that like looking forward. Yes, we're good. So
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
So my practice is PT, but mostly craniosacral, and I do implement coaching integrated in the sessions and in the tools that we've learned. And there's a lot of flexibility, which is great. I can work around my family schedule. I can work around mine. If I want to leave and go get a coffee, I can, and not feel like I need to sneak out.
Yeah.
So, and I'm taking some insurance, but not all of them. So it's probably 50%.
I'm really glad to hear you bring this up, because that I used to tell people, like, just take private pay and it's all good. But now what we know is you can do both. You can take insurance and people also come see you for private pay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Both
they
of
do.
those things are working.
They do. And you know what's wild? And that's why I was a couple minutes late today. Someone called me from like 2 hours away. I mean,
Wow. Oh my
Right?
goodness.
like I never would have. Here I am thinking no one's going to come see me. And people are seeking me out, and I'm just like, this is crazy. This is wild. So yeah, you never know. You
Yeah.
never know.
I just want to reflect that back to you, Shannon. So like old Shannon and new Shannon.
Yeah.
Like old Shannon really thought who was going to come see you.
Yeah.
And now people are calling you
Yeah, 2
out of the
hours away.
blue
Yes.
from 2 hours away.
Yes, he drove 2 hours to come see me this morning.
If we had told you that 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And that I think is a real testament to the way that our subconscious mind and the way that we think about things can block a new reality. Because we would go, that's bogus, right?
Yeah, like you're just feeding me a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here it is. And those things happened to both of us as well
Mhm.
in similar, very small towns. Like it's really very possible reality.
Mhm.
And it was right there all along.
Yeah.
It's right there all along.
Yeah, and that's really why I'm so excited that you're here, like in studio with us, Shannon, and you're on our faculty, is because really, like you're living the dream, my friend.
Mhm.
Like there's so many people. I mean, I travel and teach a lot, right? I mean, I've taught over 50,000 rehab professionals over the last 10 years, traveling around the country. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to, like a large percentage of people are like, I'm tired of working in a constrained system where I cannot treat my patients the way that I want to treat them. I don't have that freedom. I have to sneak out for coffee, like all the things you're talking about, but you've done it. Like you have successfully broken free of that constrained system and created a life that has freedom and flexibility and on your terms, and people are coming to you to get treated. I mean, that's a dream come true, Shannon.
So
Aw.
why were you able to do that? Like, some people listening could be like, Shannon's so special, or Shannon has some kind of special spark, or she knew 50 million people that were going to come utilize her services or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think that is? I mean, for me, the ability to overcome my resistance really was a key factor.
Mhm.
What was it for you?
Gosh, it was meeting myself and really starting to look at, hey, this is not something I'm making up. So again, just feeling the feelings and really knowing like, yes, Shannon, this is something that's true. And you're not just trying to be a diva or,
I can't imagine Shannon being a diva. Yeah.
Another
Sit there, you're trying to be a diva. That's hilarious.
But that really, I think that was the crux. And of course the resistance comes up, but then knowing that what that is, because I let that like rule me really.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is telling me no. And that's the truth. That's what I was listening to. And so it's hard to not listen to it because for me, it was very strong.
Yeah.
And even though I felt that, I just knew I had to.
Yeah. And you met yourself, and that what became strong enough to follow.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
Mhm.
That's super. So
I love it.
now looking back, what advice would you give yourself years ago, or another therapist who's in that same position?
Definitely listen to those voices. And the voices I say, sometimes it's just the thoughts, right? Like for me, it was thoughts. And I thought, I'm just making it up. Now listen to them, listen to your heart. And especially if it keeps coming back, that's something. The other part is if it's a lot, because I think it was a lot for me, just entertaining the idea.
Yeah.
That, hey, maybe, and just invite it in.
Yeah.
Maybe I could just look at it. Yeah, that's what I would tell Shannon before Shannon or anyone else that's trying to take the leap.
I love that word, maybe, because it just cracks the door. And that's all we need to do is crack the door, and then maybe look and take a peek.
Yeah. And I also just love, Shannon, how you're speaking to honoring that part of yourself that's really trying to be expressed. Because, we talk a lot about how strong the part of ourselves that are stopping us from changing feel, how familiar they feel, how it almost feels like that really must be me because it feels so familiar. Like the part of myself that is the complaining part of myself, or the part of myself that is the no one's going to come see me part of myself. Like those parts of ourselves feel so real to us because they're so familiar to us. And what I love what you're saying is maybe that curiosity, allowing space and room for that part of ourselves that really is wanting to be expressed, and how it shows up in these little thoughts. And did it show up in feelings too for you? Like, what are those parts of yourself that were longing to be expressed? Kind of, what did they feel like for you?
When I was in the resistance, or
the part of yourself that was knocking on the door and saying, hey, like, there's more here.
Yeah, it would be, I would just be walking across the room at work, and all of a sudden there'd be like a lightness or like an expansion. So I would just kind of feel, like a bright idea. Where you're like, oh, something like that. And I was like,
Refreshing.
Yeah, I love that. So honor those. We call them light bulbs here, right? At the Somatic Coaching Academy, we talk a lot about light bulb moments. It sounds like you're having a light bulb moment where and then you're turning the light bulb off.
Dimming the switch.
Yeah. So it sounds like those key features for you were the paying attention and honoring the light bulb moments, paying attention, and honoring the possibilities. And then finding a community of people who can support you in doing that work, and then moving through the resistance, because let's face it, no one can do this alone. Like, we all need support and community in order to do this. Community that believes in each other, supports one another in doing it, and then here you are, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, and so many avenues open too, and things. So if you're thinking about taking a leap, take it, because you never know where you're going to end up. Other avenues might start to open up
that you could never imagine, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Teaching.
I know.
Exactly. Things like that.
Yeah.
Things like that. And all the awesome experiences you get to have with your family and your kids now, because you have time, and then community involvement, and on and on and on. Yeah. The positive avalanche.
Yeah. And one last question. How does it feel now for you, Shannon, to be inspiring? Like, you're on the faculty now, like, and you work probably more regularly with students than, aside from myself, than anybody else in the program, because of the way that we run the cohorts. So you spend a lot of time inspiring and being with students. Like, how does it feel for you to be in relationship and inspiring those students, seeing that they are where you were before? What does that feel like for you?
Sometimes it's kind of wild, because I'm just it still feels new, and there's joy, there's a lightness in my belly. And when I get the feedback, because sometimes we don't see it for ourselves, but I've had some feedback, and I'm just like, okay, all right, this is good.
Yeah, it's true.
Good stuff.
It is good stuff. It's life-giving. It's so good.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us here in the faculty lounge. It was so great to have our
Thank you.
faculty here live and in person. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So inspiring to hear your story, and we get to hang out all the time, but to take a moment and hear about your story, and I learned things that I hadn't heard before. It's just so special. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for being here, Shannon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening. We look forward to bringing you more faculty lounges, and we'll be back with you next week on the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself. Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.